Let us purchase 2 first-class tickets, please, to Dubai.
Dubai.
We need to get to the Dubai Film Festival. We've got a short sub-doc about the plight of the Iraqi people who live in Beverly Hills.
Okay, well, I have one flight left out to Dubai.
All right. Let me try to get comfy up in the bitch. Oh.
Is that nice?
It's kind of comfy.
That's the other thing when you do a French press. You get to the bottom.
Yeah.
Sludge. Always sludge.
Really, sludge?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't been getting sludge on the bottom of my shits.
Really? You know what? You probably just drink it up. If you
See, that's why I worry about grinding it too much, because that shit gets
through.
It gets through, yeah. So you got to.
Is there like a recommended?
You got to have a thicker grind on your.
Is there?
French
I
press.
have to imagine, the finer it is, the better it's going to
absorb, have the water absorb.
Yeah.
The
Versus
coffee.
coarse. I mean, but maybe there's like this fine line.
Yeah.
Where as soon as you cross it, that shit's making its way into your coffee. Which, as long as I'm not tasting like little sandy bits, I don't mind little grounds.
No, I don't
in
mind.
my
Like
coffee.
if you have coffee anywhere else in the world, it always has like a pile of shit on the bottom of the cup. you know?
Yeah. And that's
know?
okay. I'm not going to throw my coffee out for it.
And you feel
I'll
it,
say
you
that.
feel it, and shit hits you in the back of the skull. The caffeine's so strong.
You ever had ice cream or like a treat with coffee grounds on it?
Yeah. I feel like I have. This shit's good. I like chocolate and coffee. As I've gotten older,
Yeah.
it's something happens to you. I love, used to like milk chocolate. Now I like fucking dark chocolate.
I'm still not on
Used to
board for
hate
dark
olives.
chocolate.
Now I like fucking olives.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it
Coffee
they-
flavored ice cream. I used to fucking loathe that shit. Now I love coffee ice cream.
I've always loved coffee ice cream. I think it's supposed to be that your taste buds change. Obviously not completely, but I think it's every 4 years, 7 years. I think it's every 7 years your taste buds change. Like if you didn't like something 7 years ago, try it again now, and you might like it. Because I'll tell you right now.
Is that the thing? Because apparently, like your cells that you have die off within 7 years.
Oh, and you're
so
basically
every
a different
7 years,
person?
technically.
I mean, maybe, because I'm telling you right now, like there's foods that I didn't like as a kid. Like when you're a kid, like most kids love sweets. Sweets and bland, not spicy.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. Kids like vanilla and cheese pizza and regular burgers. And I'm sure you can condition them at an early age. You just start giving them shit and
Yeah.
they just get used to it. And maybe that's just... Or it's just, if this is the only version of the food that they're going to eat, they're going to eat it. So if you don't
Yeah.
give your kids
I
the
think it's
option
just-
of pulling the scary colored vegetables off their burgers and their pizzas,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, the only version of this you're going to try is going to be this one, this or nothing. Maybe you just, it's kind of like ignorance is bliss, but not really. It's just...
Well, I think it's just people go their lives, and early on in their lives, they'll just deem something, be like, I don't like that thing.
Yeah.
And then they just won't eat it for a while, and then they'll try it again and be like, you know what? I like that fucking
Well, dude, that...
Because your taste buds change as
Yeah.
you grow up.
Well,
you
and-
try new, different things, and you develop a palate for... the bitter taste of black coffee or the
like
bitter
an
taste of an
IPA.
IPA.
I mean, I could just look at my history of drinking, and that I could transfer that probably to any
just
food.
forces flavors
you know?
down your throat. Be like, you'll like it because it gets you fucked up.
Yeah, well, I didn't drink beer at all because I thought it was gross.
Yeah.
And then when I started drinking beer, it was Bud Light, and then Bud Light Lime, and then and then it was like Shock Top. Remember there's a lot of drinks
Yeah.
in there like that where it was like a fruitier
the flavored,
version.
yeah. You know what? I don't turn my fucking nose. A lot of dudes turn their nose because dudes think like fruit's gay or something. Like if you eat
It
fruit, it'll turn you gay.
Yeah. I don't know anyone thinks that.
Be like, I'm not one of those queers,
Well, I get no.
But-
well, I think it's a lot of it's just you think that it's not manly, but I don't know why.
It tastes good. Why? It's only manly if it tastes like
Well, you
shit.
know what's funny? I used to love Shock
Let's
Top.
change the perception, man.
I used to love Bud Light Lime, but now I got a Shock Top recently, and I'm like, this shit is way too sweet. Way too sweet. It's amazing. I love ice cream, right?
Sure,
love
yeah.
ice cream, but maybe something about the creaminess takes away from the sweetness a little bit, but like a sweet drink, I can't do a sweet drink.
It depends on the drink. It depends on my expectation of the drink.
Yeah. That's true. I don't want my
Beer-
beers to be sweet. That's not right for me.
because beer isn't typically a dessert that you have.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. You're not typically looking for a sweet flavor when you're drinking a beer. You know what I mean?
That's a good point. Expectation.
So it's just, yeah, and I think it just kind of like it throws you off a little bit. Be like, oh, your brain goes, these don't really go together.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's a good point.
But I find it like there's some fruity beers that I hate, and then there's others that I really like, and I don't know what the fucking thing is. It's just that perfect balance of sweet and
Yeah.
beer flavor.
Well, that's why I like, hazies, where a lot of them there's a hint of something citrusy, but that's not the main flavor.
Bro,
It's-
grapefruit sculpin.
yeah,
is the shit.
Yeah, delicious.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Grapefruit and IPA is just a good combination of flavors.
I
you
agree.
know?
Because grapefruits in general, like if you eat a grapefruit, like they're sour,
Mm-hmm.
sweet, but they're not. It's not like an orange. Where an
Yeah.
orange is just sweet. That's all it is sweet. So I think that maybe like the sour sweet kind of goes a little bit better than
Mm-hmm.
just the straight. Like why is it that it's always citrus? It's never. Well, I guess there's citrus in these, but like you never get
It's never
a
just like orange or
blueberry
lime
beer.
or lemon. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's out
yeah,
there.
you
Probably-
do. There's plenty of blueberry beers out there.
There's not plenty of blueberry beers. Maybe
Well,
they're
it's
out
not-
there. Maybe
it's
it's like a
not the most
blackberry stout
ubiquitous,
or
but-
something, or
yeah.
you get blackberry ales. You never see a blueberry IPA or a
I'm just gonna say
Maybe
this.
you do.
I feel like I've seen a blueberry IPA before.
really.
I don't
I guess
know.
they're all out
I've seen
there.
shit
I've
like
had-
that.
I've
At least
seen
seen a
pineapple
motherfucking
IPAs.
raspberry one before.
Really?
I think so.
I just don't. I would not get that. Like I'd try it. I'm not gonna.
I like, because I think the hops. It's the hops and the fruit just go together because the hops are just so intensely bitter. Paired with the fruit,
Yeah.
it's just that perfect.
Well, it's kind of like the like Stone,
Yeah.
like the main Stone IPA. That is just almost too much for me. It
Like-
is just so bitter. I mean,
just
it's ruthless.
yeah, I remember that shit came out fucking
Arrogant Bastard.
13
that was
years
it,
ago.
wasn't
Like
it?
Arrogant Bastard. I remember seeing it in the bars, and I remember trying it because it's a fucking devil. It's
Yeah.
black.
It's
like,
cool looking.
This is cool as shit. I remember
Yeah.
I tried it. I'm like, that's awful.
Yeah, dude, I just couldn't do it.
And I never drank any of that shit until I moved to California here. And that's kind of like when my palate developed a little bit more
Yeah.
towards the IPAs. Me and you were drinking a lot,
Yeah.
a lot of, like I said, in my opinion, the Sculpin Grapefruit is
Yeah.
the best fruit IPA out there, hands down. This podcast brought to you by Grapefruit Sculpin.
Grapefruit scope. No, but going back to the food real quick, when we were talking about when people, I didn't like it when I was younger. You know what? Ask whenever someone says, "Oh, I don't like that." Ask more questions, because
Yeah.
what I've discovered is typically when it comes to my parents, mainly my parents, when they don't like something, and I'm like, "Why not?" "Oh, I just don't like it." "Well, why? Have you had it before?" "Yeah, I had it once, 20 years ago." And it was the same kind of thing. 20 years ago, I tried a piece, and it was weird, and I
Yeah.
just can't do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? That's it? Forever? You don't
Yeah.
even want to give it another shot? And my mom particularly will, like, it's almost like a badge of honor, the refusal to eat a thing because of, like, it's almost like emotionally disturbed her. She won't eat turkey meat. I can't even tell you the story. I'm like, there's no way the story's that bad. It's turkey
funny.
meat.
It's funny because my mom is the same exact way. So she won't touch a steak. She won't eat chicken, but she'll eat a McDonald's cheeseburger.
What the hell?
Yes.
Is it the process? Because
So
it can't be the
but
process if you're eating a
She
McDonald's
just said
cheeseburger.
it's just in her eyes. She looks at a slab of meat and it just looks more like the fucking like it came from a
Sure.
living thing.
Sure.
And she just doesn't like it. Like I told her, she eats Taco Bell too, but she won't eat chicken. But she'll go to Taco Bell and I'm like, Mom, that's like 60% like fucking meat, and she'll be like, Stop talking. I don't want to hear anymore.
Yeah, it's like burying your head in the sand. Really, it's just like
it's-
I don't want to know too much. I just don't want to know too much.
And you know what though, there is something admirable about that.
Is there?
There is, because she knows what she likes, and she knows that she doesn't want that information because it's gonna fucking
Sure.
So
All right,
she's got
all right.
enough shit
I
in
get
her
what you're
life
saying.
to worry about.
She knows herself well enough to
Yes.
recognize that
Yes.
it's irrational, and so that she
Yes.
would rather just bury her head because she knows it. If she just knows,
Yeah.
even though she likes it, if she
Because
just
maybe
knows
there's
about it.
bigger fish to fry in her life. So
I get it.
She's not trying to focus in. She eats Taco Bell every couple days. She enjoys it. And then you're coming in and be like, they put chopped up fucking Republican babies in there. And
You would eat that. You'd eat that for breakfast. Well, dude, you know what? For me, and again, I shouldn't care, right?
Yeah.
I care about things that I shouldn't care about. But if someone doesn't like something because they've tried it, and they're like, you know what? I've tried it a few times, and I just do not like it. I just don't like the way it tastes. It is impossible to argue that, right? It's so relative. Sure. But for me, when I hear someone doesn't like something, and it's either they've never tried it, and it's not because they have a moral stance on like meat or something. It's just I don't like it. You never had it. Or which has been my struggle with my little brother my entire life. He's never had it, and he doesn't like it because it's scared. It's food fear. Mm-hmm. Most people I know, they don't like something. It's not because they don't like the taste. It's because they have food fear. Yeah. They've heard something about it once, or like my mom thinks ground chicken's disgusting. She doesn't even want to see it. She loves chicken. I'm like, it's not like tomatoes to ketchup, where it's a whole different process. We're just cutting it up. I mean, making it little.
Because it depends on where it's coming from. Because what are they putting in the ground meat? They're putting all in the fucking beaks and assholes are going into the ground shit.
But I'll tell you right, that's not why she doesn't like ground chicken. I don't know why, but I can't tell you. Something happened once, and I just can't tell you. I'm like, what could have happened with ground chicken? She's like, you wouldn't want. I'm like, trust me, the story I'm creating in my head right now has to be worse than whatever actually made you hate ground chicken.
What could that story be? It's specific to ground chicken. So maybe one time she ate ground chicken and there was a cockroach in it.
It either has to be that, or I guarantee you she just heard a story, kind of like the old Arby stories, or whatever it was, where they found like a finger
or something like that.
It's probably something like that.
You know what? I think maybe it was something on TV or something, but it was something about a guy had a can of Campbell's soup and he opened it up or something like that, and there was a dead rat in there. So like,
that's how does that happen? So just the weight alone has to throw it all off, right?
I know when you're like, this is a heavy can of fucking spaghetti.
There's one big potato in this thing.
But that story kind of freaks me out to this day, to where I always will open the can and I take my fork and stir it around.
Really?
Yeah.
So wow, that's fun.
and I'm weird with food. Like, I always look at it. If I get something from a restaurant, like a burger, always tip the bun, always looking at the shit.
Really?
Wow.
And
I'm weird like that. And I smell everything.
Huh.
Yeah.
You know what it is? That just tells me I haven't been tagged yet with either a story that's affected me or... No, that's not true. I have twice in my life now drinking or eaten something that was full of ants. And found out afterwards, and I've...
Wait, you found out there's ants in there afterwards?
Yeah. Like, I feel something on my face, and I wipe my face, and there's ants on my hand, and then I look at what I was
just
consuming.
like camping, eating outside type? How's that happen?
No, inside at home.
Oh.
Ants in the...
It's dark in the kitchen, you're just like, mowing down on it, just
bowl of
covered
cereal,
in ants.
Bowl of cereal. That happened to me once.
Yeah, those ants,
the other
man.
one was just getting water from a fridge.
Yeah.
And during summertime, the ants went up in the water spout of the fridge.
Yeah.
And I just go up. I just filled it with water. I started drinking it, and I had ants on my face. I look in the glass. The whole glass has ants on it.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
that's
horrible.
That's awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like
I
that.
didn't freak out. I could have. I feel like any reaction I would have had in that moment would have been justified. Breaking the glass, screaming.
Also, I had my neighbor at the place I used to live at told me that they were just got a glass of water in the morning and drank it, and those like what the fuck are they
the
called?
pincher bugs?
Yeah,
the long ones?
Yeah, the long ones, the little pincher tail on there was in her mouth.
Oh shit.
So now it's like it's all about these like little things that stick with you that trigger your fears.
Traumatizing.
And for some reason,
mini traumas. It's PTSD is what it is. Mini
that
PTSD.
Small conversation that I had with my neighbor fucking 6 years ago is going to be something that I think about every now and again, every time I get a glass of water.
But you know what I truly believe?
Double check it just to make sure they
you know
ain't one of those bugs
I really
in there.
believe that is something like the soup thing, the food thing. You could probably... I mean... Let's just be honest. Like, any of these things, for the most part, they're completely irrational fears because the odds of you being the victim of that is so slim that the fact that it occupies any of your mind when you're going to have a can of soup or a food, it's irrational. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, does it hurt to check, right? So it's this boundary. You're like, who cares? I'm just checking. Yeah, but it's irrational. You're doing something that you know is silly.
Yeah. But I think
So-
it's like these things are just, I think they're built into me. Some of it, I think, is just a general mistrust that I have that's kind of been instilled in me since I was
you tend
younger.
to be a little cynical.
You know, so I think a lot of it has to do with just kind of like the way you're kind of brought up and some of these like little stupid fucking hang-ups you have. Because a lot of times, like, you know, these small little things can be huge setbacks for people.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And,
no,
and
but that's
affect their lives like in a negative way.
yes.
on a
Well, like
daily
I said,
basis.
yours it's so small,
Yeah.
right? How long does it take you to spin your fork around and then you're just on about your business?
Yeah.
You know, so it's so minor to you that the effort it would take for you to consciously change that behavior is probably more work and more time than just continuing about with what you're doing.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it's such a small speed bump from from going from
It's
looking
a
at
small
your food to eating
piece
your
of a
food.
larger problem.
Yes. It's one brick in this very odd house. You know?
Exactly. And I just, you know, but you're right. I acknowledge these things
Yeah.
when I come across them as just like, why am I doing this? This is stupid. This is useless. It's just causing me more worry when I don't need it.
Yeah,
You know?
but it's something else that you can solve that worry instantly. It's not like, so when I was younger, I had major OCD. Like I don't think I know I've told you, but I don't think we've ever talked about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
But like to the point where I couldn't go into stores if they had little tiles. I avoided cracks like the plague. I would be at the mall.
Wait, you avoided what?
cracks on the ground.
Cracks.
Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to break my mother's back, but for some reason I put it in my mind, you can't step on cracks. So I'd walk into the mall and you just see me hopping on my toes on these
Is this
like
more of a fun game, or is this something like I
no, I
just can't do that?
created an anxiety in my head.
So what's the
where I would
anxiety?
get-
What happens if you do step on
I
the
don't
crack?
know. I think just bad
Just
luck.
bad stuff
Bad
happens.
juju.
Bad
Like,
juju. Yep.
Where it wasn't like
The
God was going
idea
to punish
or
me.
notion of bad fucking juju, man.
No, it was. And that it was almost like karma to the next level, why I'd get bad karma for stepping on a crack. I don't know. I couldn't rationalize it because it's irrational, right? So, but I would go into the mall and my friends would laugh at me. They'd purposely walk by things that I'd have to hop. I'd have to hop through a whole section of the mall because the tiles would be so small.
Yeah.
I'd go up to the front of the store and I'm like, well, I can't go in there because they have those little square tiles and I wouldn't even go in the store. And this is for years, right?
Interesting.
And that was with cracks. I would have to, and that legitimately was like affecting my life in a very weird way. Look like a weirdo, right? Walking around places, I'd be walking, just jump over something because there's a crack there.
It's like, oh, he's just 15.
Yeah, I was about 14, 15.
Yeah.
Or it was, with things. Anything near me, I had to have it touch something because I don't know if Toy Story effed with my brain, but I thought everything had feelings. I was so conscious of everything's feelings that it
Inanimate
spread
objects.
to inanimate objects. So I would be at dinner tables and I'd be pushing everything together, the salt and the pepper. All the forks would have to touch something. Everyone would have to have a friend at the table. To the point where I'd be at a table, like 12 people, I'm reaching across the table, pushing bowls against bowls.
Everybody's just like, what are you doing?
And so people would fuck with me. And they'd be like, they'd all be separating their thing. And I'd spend the entire time at dinner trying to push shit together. Or I'd be in the shower and everything would have to touch in the shower. And if I ran out of shampoo, I'd have to make sure the shampoo got to say goodbye to all of its friends. I tap everything with the shampoo goodbye because it's going like shampoo heaven before I threw it in the trash can. And this was years.
Wow.
And so there was a point where I'm like, this is insane. Like, this is insane. And so I had to literally make myself stop doing it. So when I walk around places, I remember doing this, being like purposely stepping on cracks, and it would make me feel like sick. Almost.
Yeah.
Because I was going against this.
Because you've trained yourself that you're not supposed to do that.
I conditioned myself to have this irrational fear, so I'd step on the cracks everywhere I went. And then we'd go out places, and people would start putting things apart. I'm like, no, I'm fine. And I wasn't, right? It would make me almost feel sick. I'm assuming that's what anxiety feels like. And I would just eventually, it took me over a year to do it.
Do you think that's why, because you are so, we'll say, affected by somebody being inconsiderate? And do you think that might be because you've lived your life and created all these strict rules for yourself to follow, that when somebody does something that you think is blatantly just not thinking about other people, it bothers you that much more?
Yes, 100%.
At least that's what I'm taking away from you telling me this.
Well, I'm telling you this because we were talking about the food thing. I was just like, it all went back to that because I'm like, you have control over this. Like, can stop that. You know, so whenever and not that I overcame some serious mental illness, but I mean, it was legitimately like a problem. You know,
It's interesting.
it was a minor thing in the big. You know, it wasn't like I had serious depression or something that I had to.
So how much of that is still going on to this day? Let me get a present day example.
The
of
only bits of that
OCD
are
behavior.
left is, you know, if, like Jamie notices it if she's sitting next to me. Like I'll be constantly moving my hands and feet, but like if I start a process on the right side, I continue through the left side, and it's so auto. It's like I'll be like clicking on my fingers. If I go thumb to pinky, I have to go thumb to pinky on the left one. I just go back and forth. I do it nonstop for an entire move. I do it with my toes. I do it with everything. My hips.
I do things like that too.
Yeah.
Especially with the fingers and like kind of like keeping a beat in which fingers I'm using.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. So it's almost like you stopping yourself.
Yeah.
And now you're just kind of left with this fidgety finger thing you're doing.
Like I still have that feeling inside, but you know what it is? I think those early ones, like we were talking about with
Yeah.
you and the soup, it is so minor.
Do you
and
think
it is
it's-
not really an inconvenience
Would
for
you say you have like ADHD a little bit?
You know, I was diagnosed with that as a kid.
But every kid
But fucking
was,
everyone
right?
is. It's like
But do you find like yourself that something you lose your attention from something and you want to kind of like do something else, or you
I
find
do.
yourself doing a task and then get sidetracked on
I
something
do,
else?
but that's also something that when I needed to shut that off, I was truly able to shut it off. I just learned how to work with it. So like I didn't need to medicate myself.
Yes.
You know,
A lot of
my
people
mom
do-
wouldn't,
yeah, that's what
because
people
it
do.
really was up to my mom. She said no. They said give your kid meds. She said no.
Yeah.
So thank God for that, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, because who knows what I would have turned out
Be a
like if I was
Ritalin zombie.
drugged, you know, since I was 14. So you know what I would do? Because obviously it's in most parts of your life that's really not a problem, except for when you're in like school or you have to sit there and read a bunch or study or do a project.
Yeah.
So I just found ways to manage it. Like I just learned how to work with it rather than being like, no, that's just how I am. I just can't. Fuck it. You know, just that's who I am forever. It's like, no, it is. But can you like work on it a little
There's
bit?
probably different reasons and there's different severities of it too. It's
course.
like obviously for you socially, it probably got in the way of your whatever your modus operandi is at the moment.
Yeah.
Like my goal is to be friends and have these people around me like me.
Yeah.
So if I do this type of behavior, they're gonna think I'm stupid or
Probably.
think I'm whatever.
Yeah, who
crazy.
knows what? I doubt when I was 15 when I decided to stop acting like this, or 16 or whatever, it was like this, you know, worldly thing where I'm just like, I'm going to prove to myself I have the power. It's like, no, I look like an idiot,
Yeah.
and everybody's judging me.
Yeah.
And so it was a insecurity thing, and so
Yeah.
I addressed it.
I think that's where a lot of, kind of like our things that motivate us is just like worried about what other people fucking think.
Yeah.
This like
That goes on.
intrinsic need for like some type of like status or like respect
Yeah.
or, the feeling that, I'm good at something.
Yeah. Well, I
There's
think that for most people, I mean, that happens for most of your life.
Yeah.
I think that there was a study done on people at different decades of their life, and I think it was 50-year-olds were the ones that said if they could have taught every decade, they said, what would you tell your younger self? And it was
Yeah.
different. And what 50s and on, it was always the same, which was I wish I told my younger self that don't care what people think. So like basically what that tells me is that most people, it takes till you're about 50 so you don't give a shit what people think anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
It
you
really is.
clearly hit that a while ago. I mean, you still feel it to a degree.
No,
but-
I honestly, I'm so worried about what other people think.
Yeah.
A lot of the times. But I mean, I'm so worried about it that I've gotten so good at putting up a facade for people to impose this, what I want people to think of me.
Yeah.
So I'll act like what I want people to think of me.
Which is that I don't.
But on the inside, and that's kind of like my biggest personal issue is
Mm-hmm.
I tend to kind of put up a facade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be, maybe I'll be happy-go-lucky, kind of jovial person.
Yeah.
When on the inside, I'm dying.
Well, I mean, we've talked about this. Sometimes if you're in a shitty mood, you don't want to tell people because what does it matter? Like, what are they going to do? Like,
Exactly.
strangers. The people close to you probably should tell them.
Yeah.
To some degree, they might have some insight. They
You
know
should have
well enough.
you should have some type of you should have people in your life that
Yeah.
you can talk to.
Be an outlet.
Yeah.
But like, someone who you're only going to be around with for 2 hours. I'm like, I want to know very little about
Sometimes
you.
that's the outlet for people. Be like, I'm never going to see this motherfucker again in my life.
That's a good point.
So I'm going to dump on him.
And just fill him full of shit and then just walk away.
Yeah. And I
true.
love people. You know this. People love to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certain people
That's
love
a good
to do
point.
that. And they're usually, you can tell they're lonely. They didn't have any plans that
Because they don't have a true outlet. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
So their outlet is the fucking plumber or the cable guy.
Or the cable guy. Yeah, exactly. I wanted to talk to you about something. I was driving over here, and I have a mustache right now.
Dude, let me tell you, that mustache is the shit.
You like it?
I love it.
I
baby.
like it too.
Oh, God.
So I was growing my beard out because I wanted to do my mustache. I had planned on doing this mustache and then the goatee, but for some reason, whenever I do the mustache or the goatee, which I had yesterday, mind you,
Sure.
Jamie says, "Ew, like super ugly, and it makes you look old." I'm like, "You think the goatee part's making me look old? The mustache is like, I think of all the facial
It's
hair,
the creepy Three
combinations,
Musketeer look.
that's what I was going for. Was the creepy
Yeah.
Three Musketeers look? But she thought it made me look old.
Well,
so she
Sam's
wanted me to just
the
do a
creepy,
mustache.
though. You're not going for creepy.
No, but I know that's some people are going to take it that way.
Sure.
But then I was thinking, I'm like, the mustache, it is so important what the rest of you looks like in terms of what your facial hair is.
Yeah.
And then what the perception is. So I have a mustache, right? I'm a little thin, so I'm like really close to looking kind of rapey. So I'm like 20 pounds off of rapey.
Yeah.
or
And you're 6
child
foot tall,
molestation.
so
Yeah.
you look like you also could
do the rapey. Yeah. And so I was thinking, like, you know what? All right, this mustache. You put
Ryan
this,
could rape you if he wanted to, just to say it. I'm gonna let you all know that.
So if I put this mustache, and if I was 20 pounds less, I look like a child molester, right? 20 pounds less. It's a little spin to it, so maybe not. But if I was 100 pounds more, would anyone think I look like a child molester?
No, they're just gonna be. That's just a fat, ugly guy with a mustache.
I mean, I feel like if you're 280 pounds and you have a mustache, like the worst case is you watch child porn. Like you're too lazy to commit to the crime.
Yeah.
So you just watch it. If you're like 140 pounds with a mustache,
Why?
you commit to the crime.
I'm curious. I'm like, how many? So if you think of all the famous pedophiles,
Yeah.
do they have mustaches? I'm trying to think of who. I don't know the famous pedophiles. I can't think.
I don't think there's famous pedophiles. You know what's funny? Why
Write
not?
us and tell us
Why
your
not?
favorite pedophile.
No, why not? Not that we should put him on a pedestal. That's not what I'm saying.
No, it's just the
but there are
mustache thing.
documentaries about serial killers.
Yes.
Right? Who like eat people
Yeah.
and like wear and make like
Didn't
nipple
Jeffrey Dahmer
belts.
had a mustache?
Probably.
Right? I think
yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer just did mustache.
Yeah. And like one of them, I think it was was it Dahmer or was it Gacy or was it the other one?
Oh,
the fact
no.
that we know
Didn't
their
Ted
names.
Bundy have a fucking
Bundy
mustache?
had a nipple belt. He cut nipples off and made a belt out of it. Like we have documentaries about these people, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that they're not looked up to, but what would you say? Like they're just famous. People know their names,
Romanticized?
sort of,
Yeah.
right? They make movies about them, and there's not that in a good way, but it's just like they're famous.
Yeah.
But like, have you ever heard of a famous child molester?
The thing is, I think a lot of these, serial killers we're talking about did molest fucking kids. I mean, like for one was interesting. They had
Gacy, wasn't he doing like the young boys? So I guess that's
I think so. So yeah, and people just kind of like overlook that, be like, yeah, he was a cool clown serial killer.
maybe
but
it's like
he was a pedophile, dude.
Yeah.
And then you think of the what was it? The Night Stalker here in L.A. I watched that documentary on them. That fucking touching little kids and little girls and
really?
shit like that and kill them. And he had all these women that fucking were like throwing themselves at him. And he was just, dude, at the end of the day, he was a serial killer, but also a pedophile.
You know what, though? I think maybe it's like once the crime transfers into murder,
Yeah.
like that supersedes all the other things.
Yeah.
It's kind of be like, did you hear about that guy who murdered the 16 people? It's like, yeah, but he also robbed, the Toys R Us last week. Why don't we talk about that? It's like, because he murdered 12 people.
Yeah.
That's where we're at now.
Yeah.
Running the red light.
But
is
what
not-
about the Toys R Us? I mean, who's going to replace those toys?
Yeah. So it's, I guess it's just that's why. So yeah, you're probably right. Probably a lot of them also molested children.
I find it interesting how people like to latch on to these like shitty figures and just I don't know, like human beings are very symbiotic in that way where they feel like they've got to identify and kind of like lash on. Like you see people do that, like with the imagery of Charles Manson, and just stuff like that. And I think like, especially when it comes to like dark shit, serial killers and shit like that always come up. But you have the people that like are into it a little too much,
and
they like
they
really look up to these fucking people.
And it's like,
I
don't.
Like there's some type of like genius that got it figured out, or I don't know. I just find it interesting how people just try to latch themselves onto like
the dark side of human nature, basically.
Yeah, or these people.
You know what? Honestly, it could be is that I think people can. I've known people who are like kind of dark.
Yeah.
But they have this filter that most of us are born with.
Yeah.
Where we're not sociopaths. Where when that kind of dark, creepy thought comes through of like the what if, what if I did this, or what if I,
sure.
It stops right there. It hits that filter wall in your brain. And it's like you're never going to do that.
That's
but
the front part of your brain right here.
Yes.
The last part of your brain that develops.
Yes. Yeah. And so maybe like the obsession with these things is like almost like being able to play out these dark thoughts, like where it stops, it hits that frontal cortex, and it doesn't go any farther. But it's you be able to like almost play out these kind of creepy what if fantasies you've had through another person and get to see the final, not the
outcome
solution, the outcome.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what it is, because there's a reason that these true crime shows. I mean, I don't think it's that most people have an obsession with understanding our court system or how law works. I think it's just this fascination that people have, most people, I would say, with murder and the creepy, dark underbelly of human society that we just
there is something
want to experience, but only from a distance.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, there is something. I find myself doing that. Like
I do
the
too.
true crime stories and shit, murder mystery shit, I get wrapped up in these fucking things. But I don't fucking like... I don't put these, like, deitize these fucking pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I think people become that way. I think some people people like that stuff because they have, like, a hatred for people. And I found myself, in a lot of times in my life, having hatred for people in general. And it kind of, like, had kind of sick, twisted fantasies, all based out of like anger and shit like that.
Of course. And like, I mean,
but these motherfuckers are that with fucking childhood abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think any of these kids are coming from fucking the perfect family. Let me just put it that way.
I think the only ones who did, I'm pretty sure Bundy was an example of one that they're like, wonderful family, everything was just great. And just what the fuck happened?
It's just interesting. So I think like people they say like when you first start masturbating, like, what you kind of masturbate to and the kind of how you do it kind of like gets embedded into your brain. So you kind of like carry that on. So there might have been something somewhere early on in his life where he attached some type of sexual feeling to
it was the dead people.
Violent
he wanted
acts.
To have sex with dead people.
Yeah.
That was his thing.
What was that? Where was that moment? And what was that moment? Was it...
Maybe, you know what's kind of scary, though? When you're a kid, you get those phantom erections where you're just walking and the breeze gives you a boner,
Just touches it just right.
Literally. I mean, I swear to God, I spent 70% of my life from 6th grade probably till junior of high school with an erection. Most of my life.
So what'd you do? Just up in the belt?
Always up in the belt. I remember going to gym class. I'm like, I might as well just start with my dick up in my belt things.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
What are you doing giving a bunch of hormonal boys freaking these thin little shorts, and you're gonna make me go outside? I'm like, I came had an erection.
I don't know, Ryan. I never had a problem getting hard in fucking gym class.
You did or did?
I was limp as shit all the time.
Oh God, I always had a boner, dude, and so like it was a big problem. But imagine, like, because these erections just happen at random times, right? These hormonal bursts that come up for whatever. So what if, let's just say, you just walk by, you're at a funeral, and you suddenly get a boner, and your brain just like, boom, connects your phantom erection to I like dead people. Why not? You got a better idea?
Yeah. I'd be like, I don't want my kids going to fucking funerals.
No.
Be like, no, don't you dare look at that corpse that way, little Jimmy. It starts with this. We know how it ends.
Yes, Bundy. Sex with corpses. Yeah, so...
That's interesting. But I think some of it comes, like, basically if a kid... is, say you got a 15-year-old that's sexually abusing an 8-year-old. Well, chances are somebody sexual abused that 15-year-old when they were fucking 8 years old.
Maybe, and why is it that is a thing? Why is it that?
Because, like I said, I think we're so impressionable, especially early on
Yeah.
in our younger years, that there's, if that's like your first introduction into sex, then these weird pleasurable feelings are going to be attached to that fucking incident that happened.
No, that's a good point.
It's just amazing the things that get ingrained in you from like, they say between the ages of 5. Like the kids are a sponge. Like that is absolutely true.
Of course, but what's just interesting to me is that we talk about all these other experiences in your life. I don't want to compare being molested to food, but I'm just saying, like, we were talking.
Well, let's do it.
Let's do it. We were talking about, like, when people have a bad experience with a food item, and they're like, I am never going to eat that ever again. Or a lot of people, what alcohol don't you drink? Oh, I can't do tequila. Why don't you like tequila? No, it's because they threw up violently to tequila.
Yeah.
And they can't drink it anymore.
Yeah.
Like, most people I know who don't drink a thing. It's because they had a horrible experience doing the thing. But with these circumstances where people get possibly molested as a kid, and then it affects them where maybe they do that in their future, it just seems like it's almost like counterintuitive to the typical things that you would experience that you hate, that are awful, and that you then avoid the rest of your life. But it's just, I guess, for how many people would I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the person, I just find it interesting, right? This is a very sensitive topic to be doing this with.
Let loose,
but
relax,
I'm talking out loud, out my ass, but that
that's
to
what
me,
you do when you talk.
Yes, but no, that to me is like sort of similar to being like, I ate something that made me throw up, and then you end up kind of craving that
thing
forever.
That made you throw up.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you're automatically assuming that this was all like I said, those sexual feelings are confusing, really.
Yeah.
At first.
That's true.
So it might even.
It's wrong.
Yeah, like it just might be. Not even like I'm gonna have these feelings because of this happened to me, and now I'm gonna.
Yeah, it's not a conscious. You're not working.
I don't think
the
it's
process.
I don't think it's as conscious as you would think.
Yeah,
I think it's just kind of in the background, and you are what you know. It's like people in bad relationships that fight all the time. Well, their parents probably fought all the time, and that was
normalized,
what they thought
sort of.
A relationship is.
Yeah,
there's only so much of the world you can absorb through fucking TV, books, and shit like that. What really affects you is what you experience.
Yeah.
So if you.
But what's interesting is that you have some people, who it's like when you experience something, like some people go hardcore the opposite direction, right?
Yeah.
Like, I saw my parents acting this way, and again, this just shows the conscious person. That's, to me, is a person making maybe not necessarily a very conscious decision.
Yeah. And I'm also not saying that everybody's a victim that was molested is going to be a molester.
No, of course,
either.
Of course. But that's just what I'm saying, is that it just shows how different people are, because you have some people come from a home of alcoholism.
Yeah.
And what do? They abuse alcohol because it's normalized. But then you have our friend Lance, who he experienced that when he was growing up. And so what do him and his twin brother do?
Yeah.
They don't touch a lick of alcohol. They never have. Not a drop. Won't even go near it. Not even the mildest interest, and it never will, clearly, at this point in their lives. And it's just interesting to see how, you could have that experience and then somebody go the complete opposite. And it just shows that it's not a math formula, right?
But the thing is, it's like, I think as human beings, we always want to, so things make sense. We just got to put them in a little box.
Yes.
But people are so complicated, and we are just a sum of just all of our combined experiences and relationships and everything like that. And just because somebody went through the same thing,
it went the complete opposite direction.
Yeah, because people are just different.
Well, I think that's where the nature nurture thing comes in. So you had the nature, or the nurture was taking place, right? Alcoholism in the household.
Yeah.
Boom. It's right there for all the kids to experience. The same for everyone.
Yeah.
But then that's where nature comes in and dictates who goes left and who goes right.
Yeah.
So you have one person maybe who their natural inclination is to go against maybe the status quo, or to go against what they're, whatever it is, would make someone like Lance go, I am never going to experience that.
I think with Lance not drinking, I think initially it wasn't something, he wasn't hanging around the crowd of people that are doing drugs and drinking in the first place. And I think at some point that became a point of pride for him, that he doesn't drink.
And then
then I think it's compared with, his own family's experiences with alcohol and not wanting to be in that position, and his experiences with friends and shit.
Yeah.
And I you know, like I said, I think he has a pride over not drinking.
Yeah.
I think he has a fear because he sees what happens with his family and with
Yeah.
his friends. So I think it's just a combination of reasons why he doesn't do that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you could have in the same household, you know, I guess, you know, different friend groups too and stuff like that. So there's the nurture side goes beyond just the house. It goes to friends and school experiences and all types of stuff. But it just shows, like, you know, you're talking about, like, your sum of, like, all the things that you experience, but then there's still, like, the nature side of you that might give you a boost and help you away from the situation, and one that's going to, maybe you're naturally inclined to kind of just fall in line with what's going on with you. You know, I don't know.
I mean, I'm a firm believer that pretty much anybody is capable of anything.
Yeah.
I just think, to what degree do you have to say, you know, get to the point in your life where you're, you know, stabbing your mother to death.
Yeah.
Okay? I think everybody has that capability. But I think certain people have, their thresholds are a little bit, you know, stronger or further forward than other people's thresholds. So I think we all have it in us to do the absolute worst. But I think some people get there a little faster than others.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, honestly, that's where, like, remember, you know, there's been that thing Elon Musk talks about where we're all going to be able to read each other's minds. You know, you're not going to be able to talk. I'm like, that to me is the most horrifying idea on
For
the face
reading
of the
my mind, like,
freaking
if they
earth.
were to take the shit that's going in my mind and put it into text,
Oh,
first off, it would just be a collage of just, like, what the fuck is going on? Because I have so many, like, just small little, like, thoughts and sentences and things that just kind of go through your head in just a millisecond.
of course.
You
I'll
know?
be sitting there at the table. I'll just be, like, staring off in space. Jamie's like, "What are you thinking about?" He's like, "Nothing." He's like, "Oh, tell me." He's like, and then I'll go
You trust
through
me, you don't.
the 6 completely ridiculous, this train of thought that connected to all these things and landed me in this, whatever I said. I'm like, "Did you really want to hear that?" I'm like, "Because that happened in 3 seconds." You know? So what would that even look like? I think it's almost, like, too idealistic. Like, oh, we'll be able to know people for who they are. It's like, you think that's who we are? If I am my mind pre-filter, then that's not okay. Like, I don't want to be that person.
No.
Like, there's the whole reason why things have to pass through.
Just reading somebody's mind, and just that thought just doesn't make sense to me. Because
No.
I just, the way I think, have myself thinking about things, like I said, it's just so, it's so all over the fucking place that I don't know how it would make any sense.
It'd be almost like taking a book and removing all the punctuation and putting it on one huge whiteboard.
Yeah.
And being like, there you go, there's my brain.
Yeah, there's
what am
my
I trying to
story.
say? It's like, I haven't been able to break it
It's
down.
like food. I have to go to the bathroom. That
My
lady's
balls
got
itch.
big tits.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
No, it's true. And it's just like, that would be the most horrendous society if we just read everyone's mind. I'm like, don't give me the opportunity. I'm like, I've spent a long time in my own brain and knowing what I should say and what I shouldn't say. And there's a lot of things that pass by the filter that I don't let out. It's like, you don't want everything to come out.
The thing is that's absolutely everybody.
Of course it is.
That's absolutely everybody has bad thoughts, awful thoughts, you know. Sometimes you can't fucking stop them, you know. I've spent my adult life trying to, avoid a lot of these type of thought processes because it just makes me feel, it puts me in a negative headspace.
Yeah. So let's just pray that, I just won't ever do that. Like, if there was a thing that came out that allowed me to plug in to get, I'm like, first off, if the whole idea of Elon Musk's thing is that we're instantly connected to the internet.
But we are.
No, we are. No, we basically are. Yes.
You have a square in your pocket.
No,
that
but
you
at
pull
least
out.
you know when you're Googling something, right? If the idea is that our brains are linked into the internet and that every time we have any thought, we're basically Googling it.
No,
Do we even,
it's
at what point do we separate
all
what
that
we
is
are
is
versus
just
what the
another
internet's
tool
telling us?
to sell you more. I mean,
Yeah.
that's all the internet is right now. I mean, it's just a big fucking store. And what are you going to buy?
Well, even the information is basically, ads dictate what information you receive when you receive it. I've talked about, like, I have, the business, and then on Yelp, I am like 20 companies down on Yelp because I refuse to pay them to be up at the top. I refuse to pay them any money because I think it's outrageous. But I don't even look like I work out here. Like, you have to find me. Because you have to scroll and scroll and scroll. And the first, other than the first company on Yelp, the next 15 aren't even local. They're just
the
in
thing
like
is,
LA.
so you have to. I mean, you're being forced to do that.
I mean, I just won't do it. But I mean, it hasn't affected me enough to where if I wanted to do it, I'm sure it would help. To be honest,
you can do things word of mouth and stuff like that. But it's just as a business owner, it's probably in your best. But the thing is you're not going all in on window washing either. No. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If it was like
if you're
my
going
only
all
out,
in
I
and
would
you
do it.
weren't doing it, I'd be like, why?
Of course. Of course.
But it's something you don't necessarily have to do it, but you have to do it if you want to be successful.
No, it's true. If it's your one and only, if like this is my only source of income and for my future, I would do it. Because
I mean,
that'd be an outrageous stance for me to take.
When I'm looking for anything, I'm Yelping it.
Yeah.
Absolutely anything.
Of course. And I'm like, my buddy who got me into this in the first place, he's like, it's amazing what happens like if you get one bad review. And I've heard that too. I mean, how many times have you looked at a place and if it's under
depends on
4 stars, if it's 3.5 stars, I won't even go there.
So I like to read, especially hotels.
Yeah.
Because I think people are fucking ridiculous, and a lot of the reviews I'm reading are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I always want to look at that bad review and be like,
too.
oh, this person's not reasonable. They want to get the $200 hotel that's got a view of the beach, but they're going to sit there and bitch because the toilet paper wasn't replaced.
Yes.
I'm just like...
Or a lot of times the restaurants, it's typically complaints about, it was too salty. Or...
which is subjective anyways.
Something about, sides or condiments or something that come out before a certain time or the waiter
it's like,
wasn't quick enough.
Fuck up.
And I'm like, how great was the food? I will say, if
it's a fine dining place that's like you're spending $300 to eat there, okay, fine. I'll maybe start paying attention to the details a little bit more because it's.
Well, Jamie and I,
for.
we were going to go to Roots Chris because Jamie got her new job.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to go to Roots Chris because we had a gift card that it took like $30 off the bill, or something
Which
like that.
isn't shit. You
which
can't
is
even get a steak for
which
that.
is a third of our steak, by the way, a third of the steak. But we were in Reno and we were going to be going to Vegas. I'm like, well, let's just go to the one out here. We're here. We have no plans tonight. Let's just do it here.
Yeah.
And we look at the reviews, and it was like 1.5 stars less than the one in Vegas. Vegas was like 4.5 stars. This one was 3, something like that, which is crazy for Roots Chris. I'm like, oh, whatever. I'm like, maybe people out here are just anal. So we were looking it up, and most of it wasn't about the food. It was every one of them that was bad was about the service. And I'm like, that's weird. But I'm like, and normally that wouldn't bother me too much. But I'm like, if I'm paying $200 for dinner, I don't want to hear that a lot of these people are experiencing. So we waited till we got to Vegas because of Yelp and the reviews. And went to Vegas, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Service is perfect. So, and maybe my service would have been perfect in Reno,
And you just you got to think of the people writing these fucking reviews. First off, it takes a special kind of person to take the time and write a bunch of reviews on shit.
Yeah.
I think it's just people like to think their opinion matters. But like I said, it takes a certain kind of person to do that in the first place.
It's true. It's almost like people who respond to surveys.
Yeah.
60% of these people, I'm like, well, who actually responds to surveys?
I'll write only positive reviews, usually, unless it's something egregious. The only time I wrote a bad review is on a pot delivery fucking place.
What?
And the guy was completely rude on the phone. They fucked up our order. We asked for an ounce. They gave us a half ounce. So we're like, oh, we wanted to get the half ounce. Can we just pay? Or can you just, send us another person or whatever like that? We'll pay for another delivery fee. We'll do it. No, they wouldn't do it.
They wouldn't do it.
Then they were just being rude as shit.
Like you fucked up. Like they were almost...
Yeah, the guy was on the phone and be like, I don't want you guys as customers. Me and Chantel were spending $300, I would say at least $200 a week.
Yeah.
$250.
Yes, you do. You do want us as customers.
And that's what I was saying. I was like, I can't believe this guy's being like this to you. So I wrote a bad review for that son of a bitch. And you could even see you look at reviews that he had before, and he's like replying to the reviews and calling the people in the reviews like stupid and idiots and shit.
Oh, see that I've fallen into a victim.
So I wrote a bad review, and then also new businesses, like there's a little taco place by the movie theater right here. It's fucking great. I ate there 3 times. It's been fantastic every time.
Yeah.
New place, new business. It's not a chain. I'll write them a good review.
Yeah. I've been. I remember. I'm sure I told you about the Airbnb that Jamie and I did back in the day, where we booked it. It was a shared space. Which
you're talking about the one with a fucking
bitch.
lady?
Yeah. So, all right. So, and again, this is going back to the idea that you look at the reviews, and yeah, you don't want to take too much from them, but sometimes go with your intuition. So Jamie had, noticed that whenever most of the reviews were good on this lady's Airbnb page, right? But if someone wrote a critical review, which were reasonable, mind you, something like, I couldn't be out as late as I thought. The family's in the living room, or something like, I wish that we could have had more access to the kitchen, or, it was nice, but the water pressure wasn't great. The lady would, first off, only reply to the negative reviews, and it would be like mean, like you and your boyfriend were having a violent relationship and yelling, and you guys should have known the rules, or this is very clearly stated. You should know what we're talking about. Basically being very, very rude to relatively reasonable complaints. And I'm like, Jamie, whatever, it's fine. We're not going to spend much time there. We're just sleeping there. So we went and immediately noticed that the place, our room was like a room next to her room, which is weird. It was our anniversary, mind you. But I'm like, whatever. So we go in the backyard, which was the available space, and there was a jacuzzi. I'm like, oh my God, can we use the jacuzzi?
Yeah.
Said, no, the jacuzzi's only for the other room. Which no one, I'm like, is there anyone staying in that room? She said no.
And was this jacuzzi kind of like located in the middle
She's
of
in the
everything?
backyard.
Okay.
She's in the backyard where everyone has access to.
Okay, so...
And so I said, okay. I said, all right, well, is there anyone staying in that room? She said no. I'm like, well, I'll pay to use the jacuzzi. Whatever that room is, I'll pay
the
to
extra
use the
amount.
jacuzzi. She said, your room doesn't come with a jacuzzi, only that room comes with a jacuzzi. I'm like,
wow.
Okay, whatever, that's fine.
Anal
and I'm
as
like,
shit.
I'm paying to use your jacuzzi, but whatever, that's fine. And so we're going outside, we sit in the backyard, and we're just having some wine and by the fire pit, and her husband's out there cooking a pizza, and we're chit-chatting with them and having a relatively nice time with him. Eventually he left, and it was just me and her. And it was probably like 7:45, maybe 8 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. And I'm playing movie scores on my phone. It was like Jurassic Park theme. Not loud, but it was on. And the lady ends up coming out and is like, she's rubbing her arms together and she's all like fidgety. She's like, I have never in my life felt so uncomfortable in my home. You are being so disrespectful to me. It is unbelievable.
What?
This is quiet time, and you knew this. It is in the rules. You knew that this was quiet time.
Wow.
And I was looking at her. I'm like, excuse me?
Fucking
And then she's just like,
crazy-ass bitch.
I have never been spoken like to like this in my entire life. In my home, I've never been so
Spoken
uncomfortable.
to like what?
Because I said,
It's like-
excuse me. And then, because I said it kind of like shocked, because I was shocked. Because, again, there's a lot of ways to approach to people who have paid to use your... She was acting. Anyways, let me just keep going. And so, I'm like, we're not doing anything wrong. Your husband was out here talking with us. If you think I'm like, it's not even late.
Yeah.
If you think we're being loud, we'll be
Plain.
quiet down. She's like, I'm calling Airbnb right now. This is unbelievable. You can't be here. And so...
Because you're playing scores on your
Yeah.
fucking iPhone.
Well, she thought that we were being loud past the late time, but it wasn't
At
like
7:45?
It was 100% before 9 p.m. 100%. Like, it wasn't late. So Jamie goes inside to talk to her, and I guess she just tells Jamie that she should rethink her choice in men. That I'm a
What?
Yeah. So Jamie comes out crying.
What the fuck?
Yeah. And so we go in.
What a
we're
piece of
leaving.
shit.
Yeah, I'm like, we're leaving. So we go in, we grab our stuff. She's sitting at the dinner table, and I come out, and I'm like, I'm going to just talk to this lady. I said, look, I just want to understand what just happened, okay? Because we were hanging out with your husband, and we did not realize that we were, interfering with anything. And she takes her phone out. She's like, you are being so rude and making me so uncomfortable in my home. And she starts recording me. She's like, I am going to show this to everyone. I'm showing this to Airbnb. I already called them. You need to get out of my home. And then I just started going off on her. I basically called her like, I don't know. I think at one point I called her like a psychopath, and she's crazy. And first off, this is like a relatively
Because that is like erratic ass behavior.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I'm like, at this point, this is getting very loud. Me and her,
Yeah.
like, kind of yelling at each other in her house. And her husband's hiding in the back room. It's a very small house. So clearly he thinks she's ridiculous. Because if he thought that I was the one being wrong,
At that point, you
he
just
would have
gotta
come
get
and
the
kicked
fuck
my ass out of
out.
his house, right? And so we're leaving. And she's like, I'm going to put this on YouTube. And I'm yelling back at her.
It's going to be the most boring video ever.
Yeah,
but, go ahead.
but the whole thing was, I'm like, we paid to be here. It's not like she was acting as if like we were homeless, and she was doing this great deed by allowing us to stay in her home.
That's what
and,
she fucking
and look
thought.
look what I have done for you. You get to see. I'm like, no, we're paying for a service.
Yeah.
Okay, you have opened your home as a business. We are paying to stay here
The thing is she didn't like you for some other reason other than
immediately.
That. Yes.
Yeah.
and she immediately drew some type of weird fucking conclusion on you.
Yeah.
And that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
The very small,
I guess,
thin straw.
But what I was saying earlier was that all of the bad feelings Jamie got before we stayed there all came from that lady. Any negative review about her Airbnb, she would call, get personal about those whoever left a bad review,
Yeah.
calling them names, basically calling them
Wow.
an idiot. And I'm like, that's a sign. If I ever see that again, I'm not a chance am I going to stay there, because clearly that person is. That's not how you run a business.
Yeah.
Again,
no,
one
it
thing.
Absolutely isn't. Just
And-
fucking unrealistic
Yeah.
expectations.
And if there's an utterly unreasonably
Yeah.
negative review, there's a way to comment on it, or just don't, because if it's an outlier comment, any rational person is gonna be like, well, that person's unreasonable. Like what
Yeah.
you say, you look at a review and you're like, well, you don't even need to respond to it. Like
Yeah.
you don't respond to the crazy homeless person screaming at planes. You don't be like, you don't need to scream at planes. You know,
Yeah.
just leave them alone. You know, so
hey, they're not gonna respond to you,
Buddy,
just so you know.
buddy, yeah.
Hey, just you don't have to do that.
yeah, don't throw poop. Don't throw poop.
You just want to do that?
Yeah. So, so when it comes to reviews, but honestly, that's also why I'm like, I have to be more honest with Airbnb reviews. When I stay at a place, I'm going to be honest. 'Cause I've stayed at places, I'm like, everybody's leaving 5-star reviews. This is at best like a 3.5-star Airbnb.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's bad, but I'm like,
It's got to be relative to the price.
It's got to be honest
of it.
and
Yeah.
then relative to the price.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
relative to the price.
It's like if everyone just leaves 5-star reviews because we're all just going to be positive. I'm like, well, what's the point of any of these things?
I'll leave a 5-star review most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, but I haven't had any things that were awful. I haven't had any bad experiences yet with an Airbnb.
I don't think it needs to be a bad experience, but the whole point is that it gives you, metrics like cleanliness, accessibility, not utilities, whatever the random shit in the house, like coffee maker and all these things. And you have to, this last Airbnb I went to, everything in there was 25 years old. Like the coffee maker was so old, and you press the button for the coffee, the button would get stuck, coffee would pour all over the counter. Everything, all the doors are falling apart.
Sure.
Now, we're staying in a cabin in Big Bear. I'm not expecting it to be new, but I'm
especially Big Bear.
Yeah,
You're oh, it's a cabin. Well, it doesn't mean you have to have shitty fucking furniture from fucking the 80s.
That's just it. You try and move the couch, it would fold in half. I'm like, you're charging. It was 3 nights,
Sure.
and it was $1,300.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's just say they're pocketing $1,000 off 3 nights. You can put some new shit in your house.
Sure.
And how much is a coffee maker?
No.
It's $44 at Walmart.
I agree. There's certain things like that, and I
Yeah.
think, hey, I think you should write reviews like that. It's just more information for me as the customer, so it makes me happy.
Dude.
But if somebody, I will, say if I go somewhere and, it's older shit, but the jacuzzi breaks down and they come by and make sure it's working for me.
That happened to us.
Hey, man, I'm just going to sit there and talk about how they came out and helped
Responsive.
me out.
Yes. Well, so in the world of customer satisfaction, it's been shown that the number one measure for good customer service is not fucking up. It's your response to the fuck up. Yeah. So when we were staying at this place, immediately the sink filled up with water when we turned it on, and it was clogged. And we're like, well, that's a problem because we're here for an hour, right?
Yeah.
And we got to make dinner and clean dishes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The lady immediately sent someone out as soon as it was, 2 days before Christmas.
Yeah.
And ended up having to have another person come out, replace the garbage disposal because whoever the previous
what?
tenant in
Just
was
ruined
there.
it.
There was glass that was a half-inch thick in there, so it must have been a fucking vase that somehow broke. It was very weird.
Oops.
Yeah, but she got it fixed right away, and I'm like, whatever inconvenience came from the sink, the fact that she got it fixed right away was a big deal.
Yes.
Right?
It is, because everybody's going in the situation knowing shit happens.
Yes, exactly.
So it's just about how you're being responsible. I'd say the one I had, I did one in Ventura, and the hot tub wouldn't work, and he said he would come by, and he never fucking showed up.
See,
I ended up fixing it myself, whatever the problem was.
Yeah.
Because I wanted the fucking jacuzzi.
Because that's probably one of the reasons you stayed there.
And I texted him, but it was just, he should have. The thing is just tell me what's going to happen.
Yeah.
No, I can't make it out there today. I'll make it out and one thing I hate is just people being unrealistic.
Yeah.
If you're going to be there in an hour and a half, tell me
That's
that.
such a specific amount of time that
Tell
you were
me that.
then planning.
But,
You're like,
but don't say I'm going to be there in 20 minutes and then you're not going to show up for 3 fucking hours.
Yeah,
It just
exactly.
drives me crazy, man.
Yeah.
Just be real with me.
Yeah.
Or just say, hey, I'm out of town. I can't really get anybody out there right now. And also, don't put it on me, but I can get a repair guy if you want.
Yes.
Don't fucking say that.
Yes.
Say
yes.
I can get. I'll have a repair guy come by.
You just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was at an Airbnb with Jamie where I plugged something into an outlet and suddenly the entire side of the house's outlets don't work. The fridge, which is with the fridge.
Pop the
and
breaker.
oven, pop the breaker. And I was like, hey, and I messaged the lady, I'm like, look, if you tell me where it is, because I looked for it, I'm like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
She's like, it's under the house. My husband will be there within the hour. And he came over. I had to go.
Yeah.
He crawled under the house, did it. And I'm like, and I told him, like, look.
It's an awful place to put your electrical panel.
I know, so weird. And so what did I do? I was like, all right, I told him, like, don't worry. I'm like, we just won't plug shit in over there. Like, we'll just use the other outlets and then obviously the fridge and stuff like that. So that I'm like, all right, cool. But, you know, a lot of times we'll go stay places where we look at the reviews and we'll be reading through and be like, oh, this, was old, it didn't really work, or the air conditioning sucked, or this, whatever. And you know what ends up happening? Almost every time when people are bitching and complaining, 2 reviews later, it's fixed. Yeah. Like, or they'll be like, oh, you know, we read that it's brand new now and it works great. Or, and I'm like, how would they have known that? If we were all just going to be fakely positive in 100%, 10 stars, you know, 5 gold.
The thing is you can still give 5 stars and still put information in the review.
Yes, because that tells them what's wrong and then to fix it.
Yeah.
And so, and they do. Yeah. So, and we do this. I'm like, the one I stayed in Airbnb, you know, the one I stayed in Big Bear. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give good reviews, you know, but I'm going to put a couple things on there because there wasn't the cleanest, but I'm going to also say, you know, she was wonderful, but that she should get some new shit. I'll say it a little bit nicer than that. But like, again, just update some of the $40 coffee makers, stuff like that, and it would make it a lot nicer. Yeah. You know? I
mean, I think I kind of like this world of reviews and shit like that, because I think a lot of people run businesses and they run them like shit. Like fucking idiots.
Yeah.
And their customer service fucking sucks.
Like that sandwich shop. How is that sandwich shop still in business? The one that you brought me to? Over there off Camp Plain where that old lady didn't want to make the sandwich. She didn't make it right.
Fucking bitch.
It's still in business.
It's still in business.
Yes.
People still, and it's expensive as shit.
Yeah, for the most
basic
assholes.
Sandwich. Yeah. But it's just like, I've been here for 30 years. I can treat you like, no, I'm not. Fuck you.
I'll go to Jersey Mike's from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because I asked, are you putting pickled jalapenos on there, not pickles?
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, you fucking idiot. Like, Jesus, sorry, lady. Just making sure.
That's the lady who, if you wrote a bad review, would talk mad shit about you in the review.
Yeah,
response.
Absolutely, because nothing's her fucking problem.
Yeah.
So because everybody wants to think that they're, that they're just
God's
well,
again, it's like anything.
Everything.
There's always going to be the unforeseen negative side effects of something that could be initially seen as positive, like the review system. Oh, we're all going to know about place reviews, but then you're always going to be like, well, if you get a couple dickheads and you're a new restaurant and they drop you to 2 stars, you are fucked. No one is going there. That sucks. That super sucks. If people want to hammer your place and just ruin your business with Yelp, it is what it is. But at the same time, I feel like it also forces businesses, this is the positive side, to be better.
Yeah.
And to stay on their game because the competition is raised.
Let me put it, so that Mexican place by the movie theater. So when I went there, I remember it was a good experience and everything like that, and they kind of went above and beyond just at the table, making sure we got the salsa, coming back around and just replacing shit, even though we didn't ask.
Yeah.
Just little things like that, and and then they said a thing and be like, hey, if you like the experience, we're new, give us 5 stars so we can get more business. Like, I responded to that.
Of course.
And I think more people will respond to that. And here's the thing is like, this is the game now.
It is.
And it's not changing for you.
No. Yeah. So if you're going to be stubborn and be like, we're going to,
Yeah, and be like, well, fucking Yelp fucked it up. Well, was it really Yelp? Because you, at any time where you got 2 bad reviews and you think it's going to ruin your business.
That's true.
You've got a decision to make in that moment.
Yeah.
Because you can turn that around.
Well, you could be, treat yourself like a victim and be like, oh, we have no chance here. We have 2 bad reviews. Like, or be better.
You respond.
Yeah.
Also, it's good to respond and be like, I'm sorry you had that experience.
Yeah, come back and
maybe have some little thing. Yeah, come back. Or, if you come back, I'll give you a free meal or whatever. Yeah. There's ways that you can,
rebound, basically, from those moments. Yeah.
It's just I've been to too many new businesses where, like, the people are assholes and just, like, the owner will just put some punk kid in charge and they're just like, whatever.
Like, remember the burger joint that opened up? I'm like, that place is never going to succeed. They put a bunch of kids who could give 2 shits about your business.
Oh, yeah, the Juicy Burger place.
That lasted 6 months.
Fat and Juicy, yeah. And the thing was, when they first opened and that guy was there all the time,
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah.
And then he just let the 18-year-old
I think he
have
just
at
wanted
it.
to have his business and make his money without having to work.
No, and I'm
like,
sorry, it's
that's
just not
the
going to work.
restaurant life, brother.
That 18-year-old kid's not going to be as passionate about you, about your restaurant.
Well, let's be completely honest. That's every business anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you remove yourself as whether you're the owner of the company
Yeah.
or let's just say you're the manager who's been in for
Yeah.
20 years, it is so impossibly unreasonable for you to think that your employees are going to give as much a shit about your business as you do.
Especially in the restaurant
Don't even
business.
have the expectation.
Especially if you're going to open a restaurant or whatever, it's like you got to be there all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And you got to dedicate your goddamn life to that, especially when you first open.
Yeah. That
know?
is your it takes someone who's immensely passionate about a restaurant.
That's
to
why
open a restaurant.
That's why you need the matriarch or patriarch of the
Yeah.
family running that restaurant, and you got all your fucking family. Fucking
Yeah,
working
he's like,
there.
you all gotta care, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
Otherwise, we don't eat this week, motherfuckers.
No, it's true.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, like I said, it just certain things bother me because I see all these new businesses starting. You'll go into the new business, and it's just like they drop the ball on so many things. Like they opened up a sub shop over there, and I remember going in there, and everything was like pre-cut, and I got a Philly cheesesteak, and he shoves it in the microwave.
What?
And it's just like, look, dude, if you're gonna open up a sub shop. Like,
What is remember that one opening, yes.
It's like, where is your thought going into, because to me, I'm like, I'm going to open up a sub shop. What's the type of shit that makes a sub shop better? They cut it to order.
Okay.
I'm going to cut my shit to order. Oh, what else do? They get a flat top, not a microwave.
Well, it's also, who am I competing against? Jersey Mike's,
Yeah.
right? Which is just, it's
Bro.
they do the same shit. You're
Their
like,
motto is a sub above, and god damn it, it is.
but that's just it. Like, if you're going to open up a sub shop, all right, who am I competing against? Jersey Mike's. What am I going to do better than them? Nothing?
Podcast brought to you by Jersey Mike's.
Please?
Yep,
Love me
man.
some Jersey
Chipotle
Mike's.
cheesesteak all day, motherfucker.
I haven't gotten a hot sub from there in a long time. Just been rocking cold subs forever.
Honestly, the cold subs, and I'm telling you, it's all about, you got to have decent bread. Just decent bread. Just
Because their
not
bread
awful
ain't
bread.
great
Yeah,
at
it's not
Jersey Mike's,
great, But decent bread, and cut your fucking meat to order. And I've seen it, like, I've worked at plenty of restaurants with new owners of a restaurant. They've never owned a restaurant before, but
That's
decided
bold.
to get into the business.
Yeah.
And they just run it into the fucking ground every time because they just think it's like, well, I hired this guy, and everything should just come together. It's like, no, man.
Well, I'm telling you, I guarantee that the same person who did that is the same person who opened the new furniture store or the new mattress shop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
People are too cocky.
You thinking?
That's why.
Do you have some innovative
Yeah.
new process for
Yeah.
selling mattresses
Yeah.
that the last 200 that had a going at a business
those
sale
are usually
didn't have?
privileged ass motherfuckers, and they just think that if they fucking shit on anything, that's going to become
I'm
gold.
telling you what my guess is. This is them being like, they met someone who had a hookup on mattresses. Like, they went to some
and they thought this would be
convention.
like some big business deal.
Yeah, they're like,
gonna
oh,
do.
these mattresses, you feel soft. These are the softest, best mattresses. They're like, these are. No, we can get you them at this price, and they always sell at this price. They're like, oh, I get a 25% profit on every mattress I sell. Fuck, I'm gonna open up a mattress store. Overhead's 15% and make 10%, and that's gonna make me $10,000 a month. But then you got to keep selling mattresses. I'm like, who keeps buying mattresses? Like, I've had 2 mattresses my
And
whole
the thing
life.
is, now your competition is like online.
Yeah.
Most people just have their fucking matches delivered in a roll.
It's like, oh, you're going to start a furniture store, so you're getting it from China, like every other furniture store. What makes you any different? Why am I going to come to your store?
Well,
to
I
buy
gotta say,
furniture?
my mom did it.
That's
my mom,
true, but she did it differently. She
But
did
she-
the second hand.
Well, not necessarily. So a lot of the furniture in her store, she was going to Miami that she was buying directly from a manufacturer.
Really?
Yeah. So she'd go to Miami and pick up a crap ton of food or furniture, and she also would have books in her store. So if people wanted anything, be like, I want a nightstand that matches that, they can order it in the book, so they can do people's custom orders too. But she also sold used. See, here's where my mom was successful. She got into all aspects.
I was gonna say,
so
yeah.
she's buying furniture from the manufacturer. She's going to storage auctions. She still hit up garage sales. So she's still making money in a lot and selling shit on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
So anywhere she can buy the stuff and get rid of the stuff, she's doing it.
Yeah.
So I just, she doesn't have all her eggs in one basket, basically.
Yeah, she diversified a little bit.
Yeah.
And you know what? She had something for everyone. You know, you can't afford
the
a new one.
pandemic
Here's
hit,
the used one.
When the pandemic hit, she to stay open, she had to sell like hospital beds and like masks or something. So she sold hospital beds,
really,
and fucking masks just so she could stay open. Bro.
You know what? That's good for her, man. That ain't
and that's
easy.
just
Most people would not.
No, most people just fold the fuck over.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you can't just buy the things that I want to sell you.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to fucking buy what you want. Sell me what I want to buy.
But she, she was a successful businesswoman because she always thought it was going to fail. She was always worried that shit's not going to work out.
That means she's always looking for the next move.
And that's
So
exactly
trying to stay
why
ahead of
she's
the curve.
quick to move. She's quick to get shit done. She didn't just sit there and be like, well, what do I need to fucking still sell shit? Well, you need to do this. All right, that's what we're doing then. No ifs, ands, or buts or thinking about it. You just have to do it.
Well, honestly, I feel like to be a successful business owner of any type, you have to be one, reactive. You got to be kind of dynamic, just just moving around a bunch and and then being willing to change.
Yeah.
Like a very very rigid person. Like unless you just have, it works for if you're one of those restaurants. Like what is it? Not Langers. Yeah, sure. Any like old delis that have been the same for 70 years. Like but you're also the name. People are gonna always go to you.
Yeah.
You don't have to change. But if you're a new business, you better be doing something different. You better be trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Keep
cater.
up with the
You got to
times.
cater to your fucking area.
Yeah.
What's your demographic? Don't be. That's one thing. It's just like you see some businesses open up. It's like, why would you open that up here? Like that's not even like, like one thing I was thinking. It's like say, I was thinking about open up like a card shop. I could, rent a space, open up a card shop, maybe sell comics and shit.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it. I was like, well, there's like 4 of those places here.
And how?
Why
many
would
more,
I fucking do
are
that?
We even? It might even be oversaturated with 4. Honestly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If 2 of those went out of business, the other 2 would be killing it. I'm sure that's what they're hoping.
But I think that's people have an idea. I think the business owners that are more successful are the business owners that can be like, what business can I get into that's going to be successful? Yeah. Not the people that are, say the people that are just like, I love Turkish food and that's, and they put it in an area where, it's only barbecue joints and shit. Nobody fucking is going to eat that shit or whatever. That's a bad example.
No, I get what you're saying.
But you know what I'm saying?
No, I go big.
You gotta, start your business to be successful in an area. Like you, what business can I start with the less overhead?
Yeah.
Bam, window washing.
Yeah, a couple $1,000.
I mean, to me, that's smart.
Easy.
Yeah, easy. Not a lot of overhead.
You know who does not change at all?
Yeah,
Santa.
Sand.
Santa.
I thought you said sand.
No, Santa.
Sand never changes.
In what way has Santa changed his process? I wonder. Like, I guess gifts used to only be the OG Santa move was gifts were in the stockings. That was it. So I guess he moved from stockings to around the tree because maybe kids got bitchier and needier and they wanted bigger things.
I think that's really it. Man.
And they just
can't
couldn't
put a
fit him in the
PS5
stocking. That's true.
It's a big ass stocking.
Like, I don't know. I was talking to Jamie about this. Do you think that Santa engages in slave labor?
I mean,
because who's
let's
funding
think
Santa?
about
Who's
this.
paying Santa to pay the elves?
Always the depiction of these elves, happily making all of the human children the toys, which is a huge undertaking.
It takes a
I don't
year.
care how small their fingers are and how magical they are, but we're talking a lot.
Yeah,
a lot,
and they're getting more complicated. You're not just making a Charlie in the box.
Yeah,
you're making a fucking PlayStation.
Yeah,
first off, they're constantly having to educate. They gotta learn. It used to just be
their whole year is making the fucking toys. These little slave elves making the learning new technologies constantly.
Yes, because it used to just be. Were you a carpenter, like mini carpenters, right? Where you're basically just making wood toys.
So they don't have any
Maybe
real
sewing.
personal lives.
No,
that's slavery.
Yes, and again, what could they even be paid in? What are they being paid in? They're being allowed to live there for free, maybe. Is it indentured servitude then? Because do their kids have to also work?
But that doesn't justify slavery either. It'd be like, well, we gave them a place to live.
Yeah, and free food. But like, what food's available? And who's making the food? The elves? Are the elves making the food?
Of course, they got to make their own food. There's going to be one, or at least a couple elves that are constantly in the kitchen because you got to think of how much food they got to make for like these. And I'm talking hundreds of thousands, millions of
Yes.
elves.
Yes. And you got to imagine, it's got to take longer to like solder a circuit board and to wire something complicated like a hoverboard versus making like a toy train.
Yeah.
You know, like a wooden toy train.
Think
or
about-
a stuffed bear.
Think about just even the last like 15 years.
Yeah.
The shit they got to make is so much more complicated.
Like an
than it
iPhone?
was. Yeah. So they obviously had to they had to enslave more fucking elf people. So they probably encourage these elves to fuck a lot so they can create more
you know
family.
What? But you know what? Yeah, that's just it. So they probably have elves almost like dogs at like a puppy. What's it called? Like a what do they call it? A puppy
like
mill?
a dog
Like
a
a puppy mill, or like an
puppy
elf mill, where they just have these constantly impregnated elves. And
just like these, it's like the elves bigger than the other big fat
Yeah.
elf with all these like huge
just saggy tits,
Just
because
like,
they're just constantly pumping out elves because they need more babies.
Yep.
But then, I mean, that's outrageous.
So that's something. Everybody overlooks that shit.
They do,
Yeah.
and because is it any different than when people bitch about like
Just,
buying an iPhone
just
from
to
Apple?
give the human children a present
Yeah.
one day a fucking year.
Is it worse
Their whole
ordering-
lives are dedicated to this shit.
Yes.
You think the resentment that these elves have built up towards the human race?
or it's these elves are so brainwashed. Maybe they may not even know that there is an existence beyond the North Pole. It's not like they could walk to the next town.
Yeah.
That's what's sick, is that Santa put these elves in a place
Middle of fucking
where they
nowhere.
have no ability to even experience something else. They can't go to the next town. There's no fucking airport on the North Pole, right? I mean, I think it's just. I mean, you could probably fly in. I mean,
No, it's probably
scientists
like
have
a
gone there.
small strip, the land of Slay.
Yeah, but I'm sure
That's it.
they don't have access to it. I mean, you think they get the keys to the sleigh? Not a fucking chance.
I don't know. I mean, somebody's working on the sleigh, and I know it's not fucking Santa Claus. Because at the end of the day, that magic does not come from the fucking fat old white guy. It comes from the elves, man. They're the harborers of the fucking
That's
magic,
true,
bro.
That's true. Again, is this colonialism? Do you
I
think
don't know
I think Santa's Danish. I'm almost certain
Yeah, I think
that Santa
Claus
is Danish.
is Danish.
And somehow that motherfucker went up there, and where he found these elves, I don't know. Maybe he started
I'm
with
just saying. I mean, you got one Danish dude,
and his wife.
We're putting
And how does she feel
entrusting
about this?
him with all of this power.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about if Santa wanted to kill all the fucking children on the planet, he could.
So easy.
Everybody trusts him. I mean, he could slip a little fucking arsenic and fucking
Yeah, it's true.
all them stockings.
I don't know, man. It is dark. It is dark because they probably have no idea, and I guarantee they have no access to the internet. They're just making these iPhones. They don't know that they can. There's no cell towers in the North Pole, I assume. Right?
assuming
There's
that,
nothing
yeah.
out there, so they can't connect to the internet. They can't cry for help. But would they even know
What?
to cry
No.
for help? Would they
You know
even
what?
know?
I think I figured maybe in actuality it isn't the North Pole. Maybe it's North Korea. What, dude? I'm just saying, bro. They don't want fucking anybody to look in that
Fuck
motherfucker
me,
or look
dude.
out. So maybe Kim Jong-un is in cahoots with Santa Claus because everybody knows the Koreans and Danish people like each other.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, then he's a horrible businessman because they're still so poor over there. I'm like, dude, charge something. Just charge something for these presents. I
Yeah.
mean, this is a horrible business plan.
yeah, I mean,
What
at
is
least
Santa's end goal?
Yeah.
Is he molesting children when they
it's
sleep?
got to be. What else? For
Why
what?
else would you
Why?
do it? No one likes anyone
that much. Nobody's trying to make everybody that fucking happy. For what?
Unless he just loves the slave world that he's designed so much that he has to.
Well, he's got to have so much power.
Okay, all right. You got to think of it like this. Let's just say that his ultimate passion in life is just to own, to be a god.
Yes.
Really, to be a god.
Yeah.
And how else can you
To
be a god?
manipulate this mass.
And what really are people to little people? They're gods, right? So
Yeah.
he is a god to these little people,
Yeah.
these elves. And so,
It's probably very abusive.
but he has to. There's no way you can just have them do nothing, because they can't be engaged with the outside world.
no.
Because then they'll know some shit's up. That they should have.
It's got to be
freedoms.
constant working.
Yeah. So he has to give them something to do. And what could you possibly give thousands, millions? I don't know. Little slave elves.
So what do you think is motivating the elves? Do you think they tell like the the head of the elf family like we'll kill your whole family if you don't fucking?
I don't think
make
that
it?
works. I
So
think that
don't
is
think-
inevitably.
eventually, there's going to be a rise up.
Yes.
right?
I think he has to be such a brilliant manipulator that he had to, whenever he started this, it had to be kind of like what Willy Wonka's asked, but
when
Willy
it comes
Wonka's
to
fake, so that doesn't count. But in that very fake world, what he did to basically, he also enslaved a bunch of little people.
Well,
who
any
made
good
shit.
manipulator, I mean, what do they do when they want to take it to the next level? Incorporate drugs. So he's probably a master manipulator. He's probably keeping these. Maybe that's it. They're addicted to these fucking like amphetamines, just making toys constantly, and that's
So
what
you
he's
think that
feeding
maybe
them.
he's literally just. You think that he's sneaking the drugs in them and they don't realize where they're flowing this way, or you think that they're payoff for the work? I still don't think it can be that.
I think he's.
I think
just
he's
saying.
sneaking them drugs.
Yeah.
I think if they thought that would also be a rise up situation. If they thought the only
True.
access to drugs was the fat man, and that they had to work for the drugs, eventually they
Because
would
we got to
just
figure
rebel.
this has been going on for thousands of years.
No, a
So
couple hundred years.
Okay, how long? But a long
I
fucking
think
time.
like 100 years.
Yeah. So if these elves live hundreds of years,
Yeah.
maybe we got that all wrong. Maybe the elves are like flies. You know, they come in, they last a short period of time, and they
Like
fucking go
cicadas.
away.
No, we can't have cicadas. They got to be something that they keep living. Oh, so like they live like a year?
Yeah.
They die off after a year, or he
But
kills
they
them
mature
after
that
a year.
fast. Oh.
And then the next ones have no idea what's happened. It's
And
almost
all
like
the
you're
other
first
elves are
generation.
they're probably just eating the fucking other elf meat because they slaughter
That's
the elves
food, 'cause
every
we're
year.
also eating food in the North Pole.
Yeah. And everybody knows elves fucking fuck like rabbits, bro. Of
course they do.
Yeah. So
I
you
mean,
get this constant stream,
Yeah.
and whenever they get hip to it, you're dead.
I mean, that's interesting.
So, yeah, I think people should really look into it and stuff.
Yeah,
like
we made
that.
a big deal about when we found out Nike was basically like using child labor to make their shoes, right?
Yeah.
But then we all know that this fat
They're
man
just taking
exists.
a page out of fucking Santa Claus's book, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Huh.
It's actually quite brilliant.
it really is.
I mean, if you are going to have a successful business, I'm pretty sure you have to at least own a
Employ slave labor.
some type of slave.
It worked for the
It's a fucking big world,
cotton
baby.
industry back in the day.
Be like, oh well, it's legal here, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
And again, whatever. I mean, and this is another thing. So they're making iPhones, and imagine all the other technology, right? So like,
Mm-hmm.
do you think Apple knows about this? Do you think Apple isn't necessarily getting all their phones made in China? But they're getting them partially made by his side workers. Maybe that is how he's making money.
I mean, Apple is such a large company. They have to have their tentacles into this somehow.
Because they're making the iPhone, so they have the technology. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
either they have spy, elves who are stealing the technology from Apple,
Sure. I mean, all this
or Apple's
technology
giving it to Santa.
could have fucking come from the elves initially. You know, all this
my
shit, we think
God.
it's fucking UFOs and all this shit we're getting the tech fiber optics from. Nah, bro. It's the motherfucking elves,
But
bro.
isn't that what's in all the movies? A lot of the tech we get comes from like alien technology.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Transformers
Yeah.
is like? Oh, or your cell phone? It all came from basically
No,
like
it's all right here.
what's it called when you like reverse engineering alien tech?
Yeah.
So maybe Apple was reverse engineering elf tech, or elf slave labor tech was being sold.
Yeah.
Like to Apple or to whoever.
Maybe we got it all wrong, man. Maybe the fucking elves are the ones in control, man. And they're just taking this fucking,
Maybe
Santa's the fucking.
Santa's a slave.
He's the slave. He's doomed to an eternity of doing their bidding.
Oh.
What does Santa do the rest of the year?
That's a really
What
good
do they-
question.
What does he do for the rest of the year? The elves are making the shit.
That's true.
Is he even? Maybe Santa's just like 3 elves in a coat. It's all fucking. I'm just saying, man.
It wouldn't even-
and they could control the world. Just look what people do for fucking PlayStation 5s. You got grandmothers fucking, punching other grandmothers in the face to fucking get tickle me elmos and shit.
That's such a good point.
This
They
is a
have
grandmaster
everyone
plan.
by the dick, dude. They have all of us.
They probably have a 300-year plan to destroy the human race, and we're in the middle of it. Because the more they've generated this want and yearning for things. I think that initially comes from the elves instilling that into us. From Christmas, you need to buy, you need things, and they knew eventually that we would manufacture these things, and in doing so, we would destroy the fucking planet.
Oh my
It's
God.
what they wanted all along, because they get rid of the humans, and they
And
don't
they
have
come
to
take
do shit.
over.
They take over.
Wow. Because
Because-
they know they can't do it by force because they're little people.
They're small.
Yeah. So we can just kick them all. So,
Yeah.
but they would have to basically, it's the long game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. I hope this catches on because I feel like this is a conversation that it's clearly been neglected. are also culprits in this neglect, because we have not talked about this
I
till
haven't
now.
talked
and
about it
that's-
till now, but I tell you what, I think about it all the fucking time.
That's all I'm going to think about for the next month.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, just so you know, you think the earth is flat? Come on, motherfucker.
Yeah, don't be
Get
stupid.
real, bro.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about right here. Fucking elves.
And you know what? Do you think that they made Santa fat? One of them made Santa fat because they probably started the body positivity. So if they make Santa fat and we all look up to Santa, we all get fat. It just makes us less physically capable of fighting back.
So they can fucking take us down, bro.
Yeah. I wonder if obesity is growing because of our obsession with Santa. Maybe there's it's like okay because it's Santa.
Yeah.
Because what if Santa was
Because what do all little kids want to grow up to be? Santa.
Yeah, I wanted to be Santa.
I want to be Santa. Everybody wants to be Santa.
Huh.
Jennifer wants to be Santa. I'm
gonna take a piss.
Lisa probably wants to be Santa.
Oh my ass.
When I grew up, I wanted to fucking be Santa. And now look at me. I'm a fat guy. I got a beard. I got long hair.
Oh my god.
You know? I like making, like wood figurines and things like that. And
Oh my god, you are being trained to be an elf.
yeah. I mean, I'm just a couple fucking steps away from making my own goddamn sleigh, man. And when my hair goes gray, I mean, every year somebody asks me to be Santa, and I say no. Just so you know. I'm like, do you want to be Santa? I'm like, are you saying this because I'm fat, right? just want to clarify that you're saying that because I'm fat.
Oh, real quick.
And they go, yeah.
Sorry, I just took a piss. And your bathroom looks clean, by the way. You cleaned it. Like, just in general, like the whole thing.
Oh, good, because I haven't done it really.
Feels clean.
Okay.
I bought a bidet the other day.
Oh, you got the fucking butt squirter that attaches to the thing?
I sure did. I installed it. It's not hard, but it takes a minute to install it.
Okay.
It's got
Does it warm the water?
no, it does not. That is significantly more complicated because there's never a power outlet near there, which is what you would need because there's no hot water that comes to your toilet, right? It's just cold water. So you would need
some type
ones
of
that warm it.
Electricity to warm it with coils or whatever.
Exactly, and so there isn't. I mean, if I really, really wanted to do this, I could find a way to make that happen. But this is a $20 bidet, so I'm not gonna buy a $20 bidet and then pay $1,000 to get to extend my hot water line. And anyways, so I installed this thing on there. It goes underneath the toilet seat, is where it installs. And on the right side, if I'm sitting on the toilet, on the right side are two options. One is just whether it squirts up my butt or it just cleans the filter. Always set to squirt the butt. And then the next section is a pressure gauge. It just has the little circles that get bigger. So like 1 through 5.
Uh-huh. The
Yes.
5 is more pressure?
Yes, significantly more. So I sat on it.
I like that.
And the first thing it did was the water shut out and just hit me right in the balls. Okay, because it comes at a weird angle, right? So I had to shimmy up a little bit, and then it's also alarming because it's cold.
So
It's cold, and
does that little thing? That thing stays right where
It's
it is,
basically-
right? It doesn't move.
No, so there's a little door about the size of a card, like a playing card, right at the back of the toilet seat, just under the seat.
Gotcha.
And when you turn the pressure on, when the water pressure hits it, a little stick basically comes down below the door because of water pressure, and then it just and
that
arcs
stick
water coming
shoots
up.
the- yeah.
And as soon as you let the pressure off, the stick just goes back up behind the door. It's just a shield to protect poop from hitting it.
Yeah, so you don't want poop on the water
Which
stick.
first 3 times I took a shit, I checked. I'm like, is there gonna be poop on that door? Because that's gross, and there hasn't.
Yeah, and just
So-
constantly blowing shit water on everybody.
So I
Yeah.
was thinking- And so the first time I did it, it was really alarming.
Yeah.
Because when you take a dump, like your poo
Jamie
hole,
gets a yeast infection, and we know
yeah,
what
that's
it
my
is.
poo, dude. No, but when you first take a poo, like your hole, like it isn't tight, locked down, like a submarine door. It's opened up a little bit. So you're basically
'cause
getting
the poop
water
just
like
went through.
in the hole a little bit, and it's ice cold water, so it's kind of alarming.
Ice cold water into the butthole, like
A little
inside
bit.
of it.
Oh yeah, I mean a little bit.
enema,
Yeah, and it's intense. The pressure at first.
Does it scratch those itches though? All the itches that are on the outside of your butthole that you have.
You don't even get a chance to have the itch. All right, I'm telling you. Ever since I've had, all right, so after that, I started just learning that basically I just have to sit closer to the front of the toilet seat, shimmy up. I turn it on, and then I just start moving my ass around as it's on till it starts clean up, and then I start turn the pressure up a little bit more. Dude, there's no poop I can take now that feels clean after doing a bidet, because then the toilet paper, it's just drying off.
Yeah.
I've taken some turds where I'm like, this would be a 4-minute wiping adventure.
Yeah.
Where my ass would just be a crayon.
So you're saving time.
Yes, and I feel so clean. It
That's
is
awesome.
so worth it. $20, dude. It is so 100% worth it.
I'm doing it.
I'm gonna
because
send
I've
you the
been-
link because I'm
I
not
really-
kidding.
I want that.
I went to Big Bear.
The
took
thing
a shit,
is
and I
like,
walked
you gotta sit, because you know me, like when I sit, I kind of sit back on the toilet.
I do too.
You know, I wipe. I stick my hand in the front by my dick to wipe. You know, like I don't do the fucking back thing. I've never been able to do that. Really.
That's so funny.
So I've always wiped that way. So that would kind of get me a little bit.
You just poop wherever you poop, and then you just
kind of
move
just shimmy
up
up
to the
just
front
move up yeah.
enough. I mean, once you turn it on, you're gonna
Can
feel
you
where
adjust
it's
the little stick a little bit? No.
No. The only adjustment you can you can't. It's just it is where it is. So again, it's absolutely fantastic. And when I was in Big Bear, I took a shit, and I'm like, I've wiped 6 times, and I know there's more poop, a little more poop in there, and
Dude,
I'm just not willing to wait that long.
The thing is if you want to know, like if you've got dry toilet paper, just get watered up, spit in that toilet paper, and wipe your butt. There's gonna be brown on there.
Dude, there's been times where I've wiped a few times. I'm like, this is an all-day venture, so I'll just turn the sink on. I'll grab some toilet paper, reach over, get the toilet paper wet, and be like, this is the only way that this is going to be even somewhat clean. But even that, like you can't wipe too hard because your fingers pop right through the toilet paper, and that's
with wet toilet paper. You gotta be very careful.
Yeah, you'll
that's
be
why
a
it's
knuckle
good to
deep
get
in yourself.
spend the extra money and get the little butt wipes.
Just get the butt wipes.
But if you just buy this $20 device, you save all this money because those butt wipes are like $5.
They are expensive,
right? They're
Did
expensive.
you know that on those things it says only to use one in your toilet at a time? You're never supposed to.
Oh
flush
shit!
one
I use like 3.
I know. I'm like, dude. The first one just does the initial cleanup. I still have that.
That's why you got to do, if you're doing butt wipes, you got to do toilet paper. Just get as much as that shit with the toilet paper.
Yeah.
Then you go in with the butt wipe.
But it makes you realize how much freaking paper. Granted, I did not do this because I'm trying to save like paper. But I'm realizing how much paper I wasted. This roll has been sitting there for so long.
You're gonna save money on fucking toilet paper now.
Hell yes, I am. I've had one roll in there for like 2 weeks.
You know what I
because
might
I just
do?
use it to dry.
I get
I'm
this,
sending
and
it to you. I'm
then
sending it to you
I'll
right
get
now.
the fucking expensive toilet paper. So because I'm not using so much of it, you know, it's not such an expense.
Well, fuck, I'll send it to you later. I'm not sure where it is, but it took me 20 minutes to install it, and Jamie loves it. Loves it. If it was hot water, I'd be there all day. In fact, today. I haven't used my bidet since I got back from Big Bear because I've only taken one dump. Yeah. Well, no, so I was going to take a shower today. I did take the shower, but I was like, I got a little poop vibe. I'm going to sit down and take a poop before I jump in the shower. Shower's running, right?
Shit the shower, smart move.
Yes. So I took a shit, and I'm sitting there, and I got basically the OG bidet, which is the shower.
Yes.
You know, I'm like, I am not going to shit and then wipe my ass and then get in the shower. What's the point? I would just take a poop and then just get in the shower.
Yeah.
What's the point of wiping? Wasting power. Anyways, but I didn't use my bidet, and I almost kind of feel bad about it because I was going to get in the hot shower. But anyways, hot water on the ass is just way better.
I think we're kind of sleeping on that shit here in America. It's just we're just toilet paper only, and I think we got to introduce some H2O into the situation. You know what I mean? I'm going to do it, dude. I'm going to do it. All right. What are we? How? An hour and 32 minutes. I got to get my laundry.
I think we're good, dude.
You feel good about it?
I feel pretty good about it. Can I maybe? So we're gonna do a couple segments. We're not gonna do any of those right now.
What happened to fucking Billy Bob?
This is all your fault. By the way, the reason we're a week late is Kyle's fault.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
You give me
you
one
made
day.
It so fucking hard to get a hold of you last week. First, I didn't respond to me for like 2 days.
What?
Yes, when I would just reach out to you.
You just reached out about Ricardo, and then I ended up talking to Ricardo, so that's why I didn't respond to that.
And then when you were at Troy's, the availability of me coming to Troy's was 0. You gave me like a half a day. You're like, you can come over after 9 p.m. on this day. I'm like, fuck you. It's a week and a half you're there.
Didn't work. Look, it's a busy Christmas time week.
Okay.
You know, a lot of stuff's happening,
and they're all gonna get it. It's still gonna come out on a Monday. It's just a week late.
Yeah,
this is the first time that we're a week off.
Are we?
Yes.
Well, then
it's
maybe
been 3 weeks.
Well, then maybe we'll throw in
I think maybe we should put one out next week. We'll do another one this week. We'll do 2 this week. And maybe I had some segment ideas because we're trying new shit. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but we're going to do next. Oh, fuck me. We forgot again. It doesn't matter.
What is it?
I was going to tell everybody to leave a review and to share it with their friends.
Yeah. I think a good time to do that in the show would be right now.
Right now, after everyone's already tuned out.
Yeah. Go ahead, do it.
Leave a review.
Yeah.
Send this to people you know.
Positive
people you
reviews.
don't know. Post it on things, wherever the things are that people would
To
find
people
this.
that you either
Yeah.
like or
We
don't
are
like.
currently 2,000 listens away from our McNuggets.
Yes. So
Shareable McNuggets.
yeah, and considering we get about 3 listens a podcast, we're close. We're pretty
Do you
close.
think McDonald's will even be around by the time we get to that many listens?
No, I think we'll
It won't
both
even
be
be
dead.
It'll be something else. They'll
Well,
change it.
yeah. No, it's just going to be literally talking heads at that point in jars.
We'll keep doing it though.
Of course. What else are we going to do in
Nothing.
the afterlife? This is it. This fucking podcast.
Well-
So, write a fucking review. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Listen to the podcast. Have your mother listen to the podcast.
Yeah, and when you leave a bad review, we'll talk mad shit about you.
Yeah,
and be
mad
petty.
shit on air. And
Yeah.
hey, man, people are talking about
be
you.
famous.
Isn't that a good thing?
Yeah.
Yay!
Love you.
Love you, Ryan.